Okay, so this is apparently going live to YouTube, but probably won't. But here we go. This is my 10 Try Before You Die whiskies. They're in no particular order, and it took me a few days to whittle this down, and I've decided to do things that I think all of them have got. Well, do all have. So first of all is the Bunnahabhain 12. I think the Bunnahabhain 12, because it's 46.3%, it is natural colour and unchill filtered, and there is almost no core range entry level whiskey, which this was. It's not now. I think there's a couple of slightly cheaper versions have started to appear in supermarkets. I'd also say as well, this used to be available in, I think, Asda and Morrison's, and it's available in neither of them now. You can only get this either online or in Waitrose, or like sort of your Whiskey Exchange and Master of Malton, Green Willie Stop and places like that. So I would try and get a bottle of this if you can, because I'm not quite sure how long it's going to be available for, or if indeed it will remain around the sub £40 mark, which is one of the reasons why you should absolutely try and get a hold of this. But it's a great bottle of whiskey, and it's from my favourite Islay distillery as well. Next up is this. So this is Highland Park Dark Origins. Highland Park is turning into a bit of a Marmite whiskey now, I think, for a lot of people. Some people absolutely hate the way that they've gone with loads of bottlings, higher prices, and you can see why. I still think they do a lot of pretty good whiskies. This whiskey is still available online, although it's been discontinued. You can still get it, and you can actually, I picked this up at auction and I paid less than retail for it, so bargains to be had. This is bottled at 46.8% and it's non-chill filtered, so it's probably the only chance normal people who aren't spending hundreds of pounds or going mad for collecting all these airport cask bottlings from Highland Park. Very rare opportunity to try a non-chill filtered higher ABV expression of Highland Park with Highland Park written on the label. So you'll try and get this for £50. This to me is a perfect example of Highland Park, which is why it's on the list. The 18 is not, because you can get a bottle from an independent bottler called Cask Orkney 18-year-old, which is half the price and in my opinion slightly better. Next, we'll stay in Scotland. We'll go for another a slightly odder one. So this is the 15-year-old Glenfiddich, but this is the distillery edition. So it's not distiller's edition, it's distillery edition. And this is 51% ABV. This was actually taken off of sale, but is now back on sale. So I don't know what the new version's like. I got this at Tesco, it was half price, reduced to clear, so it was £25, and got a couple of bottles. And it still has its little security tag on it, because they didn't check and it didn't go off when I left the shop. I've been lucky through doing Whisky Apocalypse things to try some Glenfiddich things, which are William Grant is sort of on the bottle, but from Glenfiddich, which are cask strength and are released bottles that, you know, just people can, within the industry, not that I'm actually in the industry, but people within the industry can try. I've been really lucky to try a few of these. This is a great example of what Glenfiddich can produce. I have no problem with their experimental range. I've no problem with their more expensive bottles, although I'd like to see a higher ABV. And I've no problem with the 12, and I still think the 15 is one of the best value bottles of whiskey anywhere in the world. But this is an absolutely brilliant whiskey, and it might not kick about forever, so give this a try if you can find it. and I think you can certainly get it online. Half of my email subscribers are in America, so I don't know if you'll get this in the States, if anybody in the States watches this video, but this is brilliant. Next, we'll stay in Scotland, and we'll go for this. The reason why I'm looking at this is this has been a 10-year-old Glenmorangie, and it is, again, I picked this up really cheap. This was sub 20 quid. Glenmorangie do a lot of really good core range whiskies, cheap whiskies. This is a little bit more expensive, but it's 10 years old and it's had a full 10 years in a Chardonnay cask, which gives a really good example of a wine cask whiskey. There's way too many whiskies now have been finished in wine casks, and they've had a couple of weeks, couple of months, 6 months, a year. And if that whiskey's already 10, 11 years old, that year in the cask might not do a great deal to it. And I think when you've got something, I know I slagged it off heavy, but the Glenlivet cognac finish was terrible. It was absolutely abysmal. And it was the exact opposite of what this is. This is bottled at 40%, so it's still that base entry level whiskey. However, as an example of a really nice bottle of Scotch that you can still get quite cheap, everything I'm doing, well, there's only one or two things here that aren't pretty cheap. So this is one to look out for. You can get this online at sort of Master and Malt, Whisky Exchange and places like that. You can still occasionally pick it up in some stores, and this is the sort of bottle that you will find, and I got this in B&M bargains, and this is the sort of place you might pick up bottles of this. If you can find this, definitely get this. Two more from Scotland. I'll do this one first. So this is the Lagavulin Distillers Edition, and the reason why I'm putting the Distillers Edition over, say, the 16 or the 8 is this is the 2015 edition. It's 43%, so it's a little bit light of what it maybe could be. But this is an example of a whiskey which has had extra maturation from normal in this case a Pedro Jimenez cask, and it's turned out really well. I've had a few of these, and this is definitely a bottle worth investing in. It's also a really nice bottle. I love the way the Lagavulin have gone with their bottles, but this is a great bottle. It's a perfect example of Lagavulin, and in my opinion it is better than modern day versions of the 16. If you can find bottles of 16 which are maybe 5 or 10 years old, then you're on to a winner. But if you want, and this is so far I think the most expensive bottle on the list, because this is about 70 quid, but I think this is 20 quid better value still than the 16 now. I wouldn't buy the 16 again. Yeah, it's a great whiskey. Or sorry, it was a great whiskey, now not so much. Last Scotch is this. Now, this is now a blended malt. It used to just be this, which is the blend. The reason why this is on is because this is a sub £20 whiskey, and it's really worth having and really, really worth drinking. I have a few of these. I've got a couple of the blended malts. I think this is a wee bit better. The blend is a little bit better. It's sweet, it's light, there's not a lot happening, but it's really tasty and it's brilliant, like say the Glenfiddich 12 for starting off your evening. And it's also got a grouse foot on the bottom of the bottle, which is lovely. The reason why I'm putting this in as a try before you die is I was going to put in an older version of Famous Grouse. So Famous Grouse, from anything from about 15 years and older, are really, really good. Tastes quite a lot like this. But they're all auctions, and now the prices of them are creeping up. So you'll pay a little bit more, and you might get a damaged bottle, you might get a fake, although it's a bit unlikely with something like Grouse. This is not going to be faked. It's a really good, modern, clean example of what a blend could be. And this is only, if you get it on discount, it's always on discount somewhere, this will sell. This is only about £5 more than standard Famous Grouse. And I wouldn't put Famous Grouse these days in a cocktail. I wouldn't mix it with Coke or ginger ale. I mix a lot of whiskey with ginger ale. I wouldn't do that with Famous Grouse. A total waste. It is plummeted. This, though, is a credit to the company. So we'll move away and we'll look at, we won't go very far though, and I'm going to put this in. So this is the 2014 Odyssey Barley, and it came out in 2017. Non-chill filtered, it's 46%. I was really lucky, I got a couple of samples of this, and I bought a couple of bottles as well. Out of all of the new distilleries that are cropping up, I think the Cotswolds are the best of the bunch at the moment. Eden Mill were pretty good, but I thought they were a little bit expensive. I thought they were a bit average, really. I thought King's Barnes did a really good job. But this is great, and I would recommend anyone to go and try this. If you're going to have an English whiskey, then this is the one to have. Next up, we're going to go to Goa, if I can find the bottle. Any Paul John whiskey is worth trying. Any of them. I've gone for this because it was one of the two bottles I have in the house. This is at 46%, and what's so good about this, like the whiskies I'm going to talk about in a minute, is it shows what a very young or few years old whiskey can actually do in a really hot environment like India. This tastes like a 10, 12-year-old whiskey. I prefer the unpeated versions. I think the peated are okay, but I think that these unpeated versions are just better. I think the peated versions of Paul John are over peated, very, very heavy on the peat. So what you taste is peat, but they're quite expensive. So if you're going to taste something that's just peat, then go something cheaper. But try this. Everybody should try something from India, and I prefer this. So next, now, if you're in America, try one of these. So this is Iron Root Republic Distillery from Denison in Texas. This is the Harbinger, and this is the Promethean. If you're not in America and you're over here, you can get this, which is the Texas Legation, which 46.2%. So these are over 50%. These are what you want to be drinking if you can get a hold of them. These are absolutely brilliant examples of what care in a craft distillery can produce. These are brilliant. This is good. These are brilliant. But this is available in the UK via Berry Brothers for about 45 quid. This is batch number 2. Batch number 1 is worth more money on the auction market, I think. But this is better. It's a slightly older spirit, and it is just great. Texas is where it's at for younger American whiskies. And I'm going to bring you on now to my final whiskey. Now, one of the things that was kind of stipulated was it couldn't be some mad unicorn whiskey, and this is a little bit of a unicorn in this country certainly, and it is the George T. Stagg. This particular one, this is the 2018, this is 62.45%, and This is as close to perfect as I can think of anything could ever be. I've only had, it was up there, I've only had 2 little sips, 2 little drams of this, because you don't need a lot. What you want to have is 2 or 3 standardy drams, and then you move up to this. No one should really be pouring this, I don't think, at the start of an evening, because it's so powerful. But this, when allowed to open up and enjoyed properly, slowly over time, gives people the opportunity to try the very best that American spirits can offer. The Elijah Craig barrel proof is really, really good as well, but I don't think it stands up to this. If you can't get this, because I had to pay, I did a raffle. In fact, I've done about 20 raffles to try and get a hold of one of these. I paid 140 something pounds for this from Good Spirits. If you want a bottle of this, I took a picture of it when I got it in Good Spirits, and I said, and I've had it for months and I've only just opened it. And they actually said, could you take a picture of it when you open it? Because so many of this goes in the secondary market. So I took a picture when I bought it. And by the time I got home, which was about an hour and a half later, I'd been sent emails offering me over £300 for this. But I really wanted to keep it because it's so difficult to actually get a hold of. And I would never pay £300 or £400 for a bottle of anything. I certainly wouldn't pay it for this, despite this being absolutely one of the best things I've ever had. I think in another video I'm going to look at soon, or maybe perhaps just a post on my website, is the lack of real value for money anymore. If you pay £300 for this, you're probably still going to really enjoy it and have a really good whiskey. I do wonder though how many people pay £300 or £400 for this, but it just sits in a cupboard, never opened. And these are for drinking. I think these are particularly for drinking. They don't come in fancy boxes, they come like this. You do get a lovely letter with it, which tells you all about how it was matured and where it sat and the mash bill and things like that. And that is really nice. But I also think that